What's up, fam? What's happening, fam?
Just keeping it real. Just keeping it real. Just keeping it real. Just keeping it real.
What's up, fam? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Can y'all see us out there? Can somebody respond so we can make sure that we out there? People can see us. Hey, we're right now on Facebook and Instagram. YouTube was tripping, so we had to abort.
Yep.
So
What's going on, fam?
I just want to make sure we got some folk out there. I see somebody tagging in on here. Hey, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening, everybody? Let's see what we got going on here. Love y'all so much for tagging in on there on us today.
What's up, family?
What's up?
Just keeping it real with Charles and
Melendia.
Yes, all right.
Yes.
And you were hearing us kind of grooving to our new little theme, just keeping it real.
Yeah.
We're hoping you have a blessed day today.
Yeah.
And we just want to share a little something with you as we go.
Yes. So just take a second longer, see if anybody's going to jump on. If not, maybe you can catch it on the replay. It's totally okay. So we are here to talk a little bit about some reality.
Yep.
When it comes to relationships.
Yes.
And marriage.
Right. And somebody's probably asking the question, who are we?
Who are we? Who
Well,
are you?
Charles and Melendia.
I'm Melendia.
And
yes.
we are
relationship advocates. That's who we are.
What does that mean?
That means that we are publicly here to support
your relationship as well as ours. Yes.
Absolutely. So, meaning that we ain't got it all together.
Absolutely not. So you probably asked the question, then what is our purpose?
Yep.
We do have a purpose.
Yep.
And that's to empower all people.
Yep.
And hopes of building a stronger world.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing we want to do. So we ask you to join hands with us. And our goals today.
Talk to you a little bit about rekindling some things and recharging your... Hey, Kevin. Who's that? That's Kevin. You know Kevin Rush?
All right, my brother. What's going on, Kev?
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, my brother. Yes, sir.
Yes, you can bring them on. We can tag them right there. Yeah. And, love to have you all respond. Absolutely. Join in on the conversation. So, again, we're talking a little bit about rekindling and recharging your marriage.
Yes, we all need it, because one thing, wife and I, we've been married
36, well, almost.
What?
35.
35 and a half years, almost, and we've known each other
for 42
almost
years.
40, going on 43 years.
Yeah.
And guess what? Somebody may applaud and say, "Oh man, great, but don't do it.
Say it's good
Don't
to
do
see
it." Hey, great to see you. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely, as well, my brother. Yeah.
So 43 and 35, 36 years of marriage and getting to know each other and knowing each other. Don't applaud.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
We have had our mistakes. We have gone through some things, but we are working at it.
Yeah.
We are a work in progress, and we say thank the Lord for it. And what we want to say, if you would drop comments to let us know how long you've been married.
Yes.
I
would love to.
Yes.
Love to hear that. So, and knowing that, when our subject talking about recharging and rekindling, our marriage, it makes you think about like a battery when your phone dies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It needs to charge. Sometimes they get weak. Sometimes we get to those weak points. And that's what we want to share, just some ideas on rekindling and recharging the marriage.
Yeah.
One thing we've recently, this past week, we celebrated the Lord's Passover, and it was a time that we purged out according to Scripture.
Oh, 25 years.
Oh,
woo!
hey, all right, my brother.
Yes.
We applaud.
You know what? And it can be interesting. 25
Absolutely.
years.
So we know you know.
Okay,
we know you know. So the thing is, just like with recharging, and we learned to purge out a little bit.
Yeah.
So in this week, my wife and I, we sat down and we evaluated or reevaluated our marriage and we talked about the things that we need to purge out or to cast out of our relationship.
Exactly.
So we saw that we had gotten to a place of complacency that we want to share some of those things to do, and maybe they will be helpful to you as well in recharging that relationship. Yeah. So,
so
you ready
to dig
in?
I'm not sure we said, we are working on this technology here, and YouTube was tripping. So we're here together. I'm hoping that we're getting some Instagram, but I'm not sure if it's working like it's supposed to. So if not, come on over into Facebook, because we're right here for you too. So
all right.
Again, we're going to talk a little bit about personal struggles.
Yes. Right.
Because see, our whole platform is about being relatable.
Right. Real and just honest. Yeah.
And honest about relationships, and sometimes how it has to be rekindled.
Sure. And we are in a place that ours recently had to be rekindled. I mean, I'm not talking 10 years ago. I'm talking like last night and this morning. Understand what I'm saying?
Anyway, you saying maybe you need to say
so, okay.
Let me say it wasn't, yeah.
Right.
It was, it is
absolutely. Absolutely not easy.
But it's a rewarding challenge. Sometimes it's a challenge, but it's a rewarding challenge.
Sure.
Because, marriage takes the commitment of two people.
Yes.
So, and it also takes the honesty of realizing when you're wrong.
Yes.
So, we just want to share a little bit, as we said, when we got together, oh my gosh, we were so excited.
When we met each other, that's what she's talking about. The time we met each other 42 some years ago. We were excited. Go ahead.
We were
talk
excited,
about it.
anticipating on seeing each other. Couldn't keep our hands off each other.
Right.
That kind of, that kind of fire and intimacy that we had, in the freshness and the newness of the relationship. It was just like, oh my gosh, I just can't wait to get to this man.
And to see this woman. Yeah. Right.
So then what happened? Then
time, we got married, time set in. Over time, we took each other for granted. Things became same old, kind of stuff. Yeah. Basically, and again, we may not share the appreciation like we oughta. Yeah. And we just got complacent.
Yeah, got complacent. So you have to sit back and think. Over time, you become roommates instead of a husband and wife.
Sure.
You're just going through the motions. You just, everything. You get up, you go to work, you come home, you fix dinner, you deal with the kids, you just, everything is the same, becomes very robotic.
Right. Life happens, in other words. So,
and that's not even to say about COVID. So, with COVID, then we're all home. Hey, nephew, congratulations. My nephew is on the line with us. I love you so much, David and Monique. And they got a new bundle of joy home. So they totally know what we're talking about.
Yep.
So when we start seeing things that can show certain signs, and what has to happen is you've got to realize that, be honest with yourself.
Sure.
Be honest with how this relationship is looking.
And evaluating your relationship, because you got to be aware and notice the signs that something is wrong here. We need a recharge, or we need to be charged up again.
And we need to talk about it.
And so some of the signs,
you become intolerable of one another.
Intolerant, yeah.
Okay,
go ahead.
Sometimes you just get so irritated and impatient, things like that. And you don't even realize it.
Sure. And even times you may respond in a snappy way, hey, like, hey, you don't have to bite my head off or whatever. So that can happen. And some, just evaluate and say, wait a minute, why are we doing this?
Right.
What
snappy.
Snappy.
Asking me a question and I'm right on it, or ignoring you and become irritated. That bounces off my irritation and being snappy and frustrated.
Become frustrated with small things.
Things.
I mean, hey, honey, would you like for dinner tonight? Well, go ahead and do what you've been doing. Why you didn't ask me all the time? So you and I, we know when we're at that point, because again, like I say, it just happened to us recently, and I'll confess that to you. I confess that brother had to repent. So,
Yeah,
okay,
same here.
what are some of these things?
Then things
Go
too,
ahead.
you feel like, since we've been together so long, don't you know this?
Right.
You know, why are you asking me this? You already know. So, you know, that stirs up what? Arguments.
Arguments,
They
yes.
arguing over the dumbest stuff.
Sometimes this woman and I, we argue about things, and in the end, we are in agreement.
Yeah.
And we've argued about it and said, wait a minute, listen, stop. We're saying the same thing, but yet we argue. And I'm saying, so, and guess what that leads up to? The stirring up of arguments leads up to what?
Lack of intimacy.
Lack of intimacy. The lack of intimacy. Have you noticed that when you're in those times that are stressful, ain't nothing happening? Ain't nobody giving up nothing?
Yeah.
You ever noticed that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah.
Just recently.
Well,
I'm sorry, but she know I like to go ahead and put it plain. Yeah, been there recently. So
I'm just saying though, like for real.
So we talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay, with the intimacy, affects the intimacy. And then one thing too, also another cause of some of this where you know that your relationship needs recharging. If you go through a time of traumatic situations in life.
Yes.
In life, whether that is the death of a loved one, even COVID itself right now that's happening, that's putting a strain on a lot of people with traumatic losses. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. As well as, no, I mean interrupt.
Go ahead.
Important. But with, as he said, with COVID, and you got families staying home. He said, been there, done that.
Yes,
I know that's
sir.
right. And still wearing t-shirts. You know, so this is like with COVID, and you got parents having to work at home, those that are able, and then you got children at home while you're trying to work.
Stressful
so where is the intimacy?
Yes.
Where is the communication? It becomes very, very frustrating.
Yes.
And then you get disconnected and your battery runs out.
And sometimes some folk want to check out. So in other words, you gotta watch your relationship where you are, because you may be there with each other and somebody's checked out.
Yeah.
So
so that's why we gotta communicate.
Right, but what we want to do, we want to ask you something here. Something we learned, I can say, between yesterday and today. We were there. We were there. And like I said, just being honest with you, I keep saying it because we were there just recently. Yeah. So it's not anything like we're trying to get together and say, let's bring it to the people. We're saying we have been here, and we're asking us to make a change together. Yeah. Do you know some of the simplest things we overlook? And one of those things is simply touching one another.
You know, just touching.
We're going to ask you to do something. We're going to ask you to do something.
Your spouse,
if you are with your spouse, go ahead. Right now, at this minute, they're close by. Just walk up. Just touch. Just touch. Just touch. Just hold.
And I'm gonna tell you, sometimes that can really slow things down. Yes. It can calm things down, especially when you're in the height of life.
We were there recently. I gotta say it again, and I gotta keep saying it, because what I'm saying to you is that when we experience just the touch and holding one another, guess what? How much power is in touching?
Yeah, and sometimes though, because you got two individual people, and as we've said, you've got two imperfect people.
Yes, right.
Two imperfect people, because there's no such thing as a perfect marriage. Okay, you got two imperfect people trying to work on perfection of their relationship. So because you know that you are not perfect, you have to realize what you have to do is work on the perfection within each other. You know, so when he touches me to calm me down, or just to let me know, come on now, we really gonna have to evaluate and recharge this. And it's happened time and time again. And like I said, with the kids at home, and you're trying to teach them at school, and you're trying to do your work, and just the stress of life and the uncertainty of everything, those are some signs that you need to recognize. So
time for a charge.
Time for a charge. Yes. One of the charges to rekindle that is touch.
Touch.
Next one I would say is forgiving.
This is a heavy right here. Number one, though it's simple, but it's hard for a lot of people to forgive. And that's the thing. Yes.
So when, you know, the things that we talked about, the irritation, the annoyance, the avoidance, all those temper tantrums that we have in all in our mind, we have to think. And sometimes it don't happen automatically. No, it doesn't. But then you have to be humble enough. And sometimes that's rough. You have to be humble enough to know that you've got to forgive each other.
Yes.
You have to forgive each other.
Absolutely.
So if you don't, you're not going anywhere. You know?
Right.
So, and you know, the ultimate is to be able to pray together.
Yes. That's one thing. And I don't know whether you've heard it said before, but when you pray with your spouse and you pray to God, then you become intimate with the one you pray to, and you become intimate with the one you pray with. So always just remember that. And you've got to, and what we say, would you please employ prayer? And even if you're off to work or whatever, say a prayer over your spouse, your family. Do that. We got to, you know, and we just encourage it. We encourage that.
So, you know, with the power of touch, forgiving each other, praying together, and realize that it starts with you.
Yes. Right.
This all you realize that you are and you can be the contributing problem. If each one of you all realize that, not just me, not just him, you know, look at yourself. Look at yourself. Evaluate the way you snapped off. Evaluate your attitude. Evaluate your responses. You know, because also that trickles down to children.
Yes.
And to other people. So.
And one of the other things is you got to at least be woke enough to identify the issues in your marriage. The issues. And sometimes, guess what? The issue may be you, and a lot of times it is you, and you've got to take that accountability. That is me, and that's each spouse. So be willing, and you got to be willing after you find that out. You got to be willing to work together because you are a team. You're on the same team, and we have got to stop the thing of being opposed with each other like we are school rivals. We've got to be working on the same team. Call a time out.
Must be
and
willing.
say, let's get together, work together. Yes, right.
And with that, you got to identify the issues. Talk about it.
Right. Talk. That communication. Right. Go ahead.
You know, I didn't like how you said whatever.
Sure. Be honest.
And most of the time, it's solvable.
Yes.
You know, it's solvable, and half of the time is misunderstood.
Yes. We deal with it a lot. And I tease about the fact that my wife is from up north and I'm from, you know, Southern boy. And sometimes our level of communication is so different when that Southern thing and that Northern thing come together. Sometimes we misunderstand each other, if you know what I mean. So she may say something and I may say something and we totally miss each other. Then when we talk about it and say, wait a minute, I didn't know that's what you meant there. And then we get clarity and we move on.
So communication.
I
know y'all have heard it 100 million times, but we cannot stop communicating with each other because that's the only way that I can understand. And we cannot assume. We cannot assume that the person is understanding what we're saying. And I'm talking to myself.
Oh, absolutely, both.
I mean, I don't know how many times.
What does that assumption do in the end? I'm not talking about the definition,
no, y'all know what I'm talking about.
But in the end, when we assume things that we understand or your spouse understand things, we assume, but we don't speak it, then that is room for being disappointed and frustrated. Just say what it is. Say it in a nice manner. Because one thing I say, a soft answer turneth away wrath. And we've got to learn to do that soft answer. And one of the other issues
is what their problem was.
Yes.
And you know what? It's a continual thing.
For most people.
Absolutely. You know, and I applaud you for recognizing that.
Yes, absolutely, my brother.
Most of the time now, as a sister, you know, I'm telling you, sometimes we go on, you know, when we talk, and then we'll say, and then we'll assume, and we expect, and then we look at each other and say we can't read each other's mind. Absolutely.
We say it all the time, my brother. We say it all the time.
That's what y'all say.
Can't read your mind.
Yes. We expect y'all to sometimes, but that's not reality.
Let's be real.
I don't care how.
I used to be good at it.
He did.
But I don't read minds as well. We all getting older. Don't you try to play the older thing on me.
No, you are so true. That's right. We cannot read each other's minds, but we expect each other.
Yes.
And it gets frustrating.
Yes.
And it's like, you know, we used to say one time, you can't get frustrated over somebody else's issues, you know, and even when we were communing with others in another church, I cannot get, you know, I can't get frustrated over someone else when I can't read them. I can't understand what's happening. So, you know, that's where we have to be able to communicate. We have to communicate and understand that you can't read me. Not like you
absolutely right. And even with that, just talk it out. No, we don't have to, you know, expect mind readers in this situation. Just talk it out. Just tell me what it is you desire, and don't put me in a catch-22. You know, just let me know plainly.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say one of the last issues.
Yes.
And doing the, well, not one of the last, but one thing in particular is this: you got to bring laughter in your relationship. Yes. You've got to have some fun, enjoy life.
Don't be so, gee, you know.
Don't be so what?
Serious.
This woman tells me that all the time. Guess what? And I know some people that know me, they know the serious side of me. And I know with my family at times, they know the crazy side, but then to a degree, it's getting the balance at times because I'm on one extreme to the other. And I'm learning that I need to, Charles, lighten up, you know, lighten up, enjoy life, laugh more, you know. And so,
you know, I mean,
do the same.
Whatever that looks like for you. Whatever it looks like for you, when it's having fun with your spouse, with your family, you know, because life itself is stressful enough.
Right.
Then to bring on so many, and men do have an expectation of, I've got to come in, I've got to bring the money in, I've got to make sure my family is taken care of. That, you know, they're on that grind, and they forget the fun and the relaxation. You know, with women, you know, we like, we say, Kevin say, you be so uptight, you got to be able to laugh at yourself. Yeah.
Trust me, brother. And I can tell you, I've laughed at myself plenty of times. I can tell you that.
And we, you know, women, we do self-care. We get our nails done, get our hair done, we get massages. We chill. We go into these we go into these.
One of them gender things I tell about.
Yoga and you know, things like that to just kind of chill. And then, you know, we might want to play around with the man a little bit. You know, come on, let's have some fun. Let's go ride a bike. I'll be telling let's go ride a bike.
Yeah, she want to ride bikes and do stuff like that, you know. and I'll appease her every now and then with that too. And we do it because again, it's for my health, you know, really. I mean, in essence, you know, it's for my health too.
Yeah. So, you know, just wanting to come and talk a little bit about how we have to recognize as married people, you know, and even those that are not married are in relationships. If you're going toward that avenue of making a commitment with someone, understand that these are some factors that need to be considered when you know that your relationship is in trouble.
Right.
You know, and
gotta recognize
you gotta recognize, check within yourself, because stress can kill you. It can kill you emotionally, physically, psychologically, and actually naturally. So, and if you could do all that, it can also kill your relationship.
Yes,
your marriage.
Yes, your intimacy.
Your intimacy, absolutely. And, you know, when we start getting intolerant and impatient and snappy and frustrated and, you know, all these things, recognize that. Recognize that and know that those things that are helpful is touch.
Again, yes, we're going to go through those things again. Remember some of the things we talked about. Touch each other. Like I say, if your spouse is close by now, just touch. Just don't have to be anything intimate or sexual. No intent behind it. No game playing. Just touch it. Just to say, hey, I love you. I appreciate you. Yeah. You know, even a warm embrace. You know, as well with no intentions.
Right.
And I tell you what, if we do that sincerely.
You know what?
Hey man, I'm trying. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
Forgiving.
Gotta forgive. And guess what? We talked about forgiveness before. Forgiveness is not only for you or that person in particular, but it helps you out more so than the other person.
Right.
It helps you move forward. So forgiveness, you've got to be able to do that.
and commit to praying with each other.
Pray together.
Yeah, pray,
as we
pray,
said. Yes.
pray with each other and start with yourself. Realize that I can be a contributing factor to these problems.
Yes, sir.
Identify what the issues are.
And also talk about those issues. You got to communicate. As we mentioned, communication is the key. And if we notice, most relationships that go through issues, a lot of times is communication.
Absolutely. So, and the last one we said is laugh.
Gotta laugh.
Enjoy
Gotta
life.
have laughter. You gotta enjoy.
Have some fun. You know?
Right.
So, you know, rekindling the connection in your relationship it equates to total quality time.
Sure. Right.
Having a quality time, spending time with each other.
Yes. And you got to learn to listen to each other.
Yes.
That's the thing. And I know sometimes we listen or we talk and we tend to run over each other and we don't take the time to really listen and hear each other out. Yeah. So we're going to say to you, practice that, listening to your spouse.
Yeah, absolutely. And make realistic goals.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we are all our goal setting mind people, but make them realistic, even if they're short-term goals. You know, something as simple as, like we talked about, you know, thinking during this week when we were purging out things that realistically I have to work on purging out, not being so snappy.
Sure. And with me, yes, impatience. I noticed even with my aged parents, I've like lately this past week, I had to call my mother and apologize because I noticed I was getting impatient with my mother. My parents are getting older to the degree, I know we all are, but then I'm not really accepting that fact. And I'm thinking almost like, stop playing, but I had to call her and apologize to say, hey, Mom, I need to be more patient with you and Dad. Yeah. So
that saying, patience. Have those realistic goal settings for your marriage.
Sure.
Definitely. Focus on some of the most simplest things.
Yes.
If your goal is to say that I'm going to at least give my companion a hug every day, that's a realistic goal.
Even a compliment.
A compliment.
Right. Hey, you look nice, honey.
Yeah. Sometimes I get frustrated with him because if I have one outfit and he ain't said nothing,
Well, sometimes you have on outfits, I'll say, hey, I hadn't seen that before. That's new.
You'd be like, oh, I've been in it.
Yeah, that's what you say. That's what women do. That's another one of the women tricks, right? Okay.
And then it's also, lastly, is to appreciate one another.
Yes, you got to. You've got to appreciate each other.
Yeah. So and we realize that sometimes relationships can get in a struggle and we can be at odds with each other.
Yes, right.
That we need some outside help.
Yeah.
And it's nothing wrong with that.
Right, exactly.
It's nothing wrong with that.
And
go ahead.
Definitely. No, I just wanted to say, sometimes, and I know for a lot of us at times, especially in the Black community or the African American community, as you might say, is that a lot of times we haven't been open to getting outside help. Yeah. And sometimes if you can't work it out or resolve your issues, it may need someone from the outside from an unbiased standpoint.
Absolutely.
And I want to say again, my wife and I, we did that.
We did.
And the thing about it, because sometimes as we say, you might be the problem.
Right.
And my wife told me that one time, told me that about a year ago. And I'm just going to be real. And I said, well, okay, let me just be open and accept it. Hey, if I'm the problem, then I can't be the solution too. So I said, well, let's get somebody on the outside. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Somebody hear us out. So we did that. So we're not just saying that, but we're just giving you that sometimes it may take that.
Some real tips.
Yeah, I love this woman.
I love this man.
And the thing about it, and we want to continue with our relationship. So willing to work.
Yeah.
Willing to work.
And
yes.
put in the work.
Yes. You've got to be
that
willing.
means if it's gone to a point where you are too much in combating with each other, seek out some counseling.
Yes.
It is okay for couples counseling. Form a group of other like-minded couples. Because most of the time, other couples are going through the same things.
You're not by yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? Exactly. And that's why I say so much that we're going through or we've dealt through.
Yes.
That's why
absolutely.
I do that.
Even if you have a church family or someone that a family that you talk to, if a respectful pastor or something like that, or someone that's in the church that you can depend on and talk to.
Well, brothers, minister.
Oh,
yes.
No,
just let you know. No, Kel, I was just letting my wife know that you are a minister, you know, in the word.
Yes.
So I'm just letting her know that.
So you know what we're talking about. You probably have talked to couples that may have had situations. So, you know, we're here to share. We want to share a little bit, come live with you a little bit, and forgive our technical problems with, I don't know if it's Instagram, YouTube, but it'll be on both platforms, all 3 platforms on replay. Please share your different, you know, issues and things that you would like to see where you can iron out and rekindle your relationship.
And even share your ideas with us, because again, we want to, our goal is to build a platform to help other couples, families, and relationships.
Yeah.
That's what we're about.
That's
been our heart. Yes, that's been our heart for since the 90s. So that's what we want to do. Again, we ask you to share our content. And again, my brother, you're a blessing as well. And I thank you.
Thank you so much.
And be blessed, my brother.
Just know that we are on Facebook, where we are, just keeping it real with Charles.
Just keeping it real with Charles and Melendia.
We have a couple things on audio, like Anchor, and
Spotify,
Apple Podcasts. We're also on Instagram. @JKurt_CM, and YouTube. This will be loaded up on 2 other platforms if they didn't make it on Instagram.
Yes,
so,
and also if you want to drop us an email, we're just keeping it real.cm@gmail.com.
Absolutely. Right. So thanks so much.
We appreciate it.
You all
right,
a blessing. Have a great day.
Be blessed.
And
all right. Love you all. Be blessed. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Use the techniques. They work.
Yeah. Bye.